welcome to Broker Tools, where we unpack the tools, systems, and strategies that help brokers optimize the way they work. I'm Katie, your host, and today we are catching up with Vishal from Property Dollar. Property Dollar is the platform for mortgage brokers, first home buyers, and investors who want to stay informed with what's happening in the property market. In this episode, we are going to explore how Property Dollar helps users keep up to date with the property values, equities, and market trends. If you have been looking for an app to support your next property purchase, Property Dollar might be for you. Vishal,
Thank
welcome
you.
to the pod.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us here. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. And it's been good. Like always, we've always had these like pre-chats, which have lots of words of wisdom in them. And I think I would like to take one of the pre-chats and bring it back into the beginning of this conversation. And I guess talk about the journey that you were on to building out Property Dollar.
Yeah, sure thing. So Kerry, look, like I was talking to you about in the pre-chat thing as well, that the idea behind Property Dollar was very simple. Like when I left the banking, I was a avid trader in equities. And my thought was that, and this was long back. This is obviously going back 10, 15 years ago. But for if you're someone who's trading in stock markets and you have a very simple dashboard, you could have ComSec, E-Trade, or any one of those ones. And in a very simple format, you're trading $4,000-$5,000 worth of shares. You can see how Commonwealth Bank's doing, how BHP Billiton's doing, how Origin is doing, or you can see your stocks. You can see how they're performing, which one you want to buy, which one you want to sell. You can research the stocks very easily in that format, and you have a clear visibility of your portfolio, right? And I used to get shocked at that time, thinking, for $5,000 worth of stocks, you have a simple tool. For $15 million worth of property, someone who's got a $5-7 million worth of portfolio, the information is so staggered. Like you're going to the bank's websites to see how my loans are doing. You're going to CoreLogic RP data, the custodians of data, to see how the research is going on. I've got to go to real estate to see what properties are selling. I've got to go to government websites to see what are the government offering me benefits, whatever little they are. And then I got to go to my property manager to see how my income expense, my rental's going. So the idea was to having a single window view of your assets in a very simple format. The analogy or the simplicity we wanted to work on was, let's get you a watch that tells you time, right? You got to have a simple dashboard that tells you, or an app that tells you, this is my properties, this is my equity, this is my portfolio value, this is how the market is flowing through. And if I'm aware of that, and if I'm aware of my current situation, then I can take some better decisions to improve my future. So that's, in a nutshell, the phase one of Property Dollar was design. And phase two was essentially about, now that you know what time of the day it is, you can better plan the rest of the day, right? So we then started embarking on, how do we build some tools that can help you in a positive manner with your buy, sell, borrow, rent decisions. Essentially as you were mentioning earlier, up the life cycle or the journey of a client from the time they decide to buy their first property to having a portfolio, how we can positively provide them information. It's not so much about selling them an asset or selling them this, but giving them the guidance and providing them information so they feel more empowered in terms of making decisions, that, hey, I'm more empowered. I can ask better questions and I make better decisions, which will have a huge impact on their own portfolio. And right now the buzzword is economy, so the wider economy. so that's essentially how we came up with the idea and we started building this thing.
Nice. And I guess this is really about the buyer's journey through property, because you start way before they might even be ready.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And like I mentioned about the people with property earlier up, so I want to also emphasize on people without property. Now, right now, there are a certain number of tools sitting within the Property Dollar app, which people can use to figure out what's they're borrowing, to research a suburb and stuff like that. But what we're rolling out is, our next rollout is of a beautiful game we have designed for first-home buyers to educate them. So we're gamifying the whole thing. So right now, if you're a first-home buyer, you're so nervous. I mean, if I was a first-home buyer in the current environment, like globally, what's happening around, the interest rates are going up. Hang on, the government is going helter-skelter to figure out how we're going to support the oil prices. Is buying property should be the last thing on my mind, or it should be the thing on my mind, because we know with the cost going up, it's only going to get more expensive over a period of time. But how do I navigate this space? A lot of the answers lie in not understanding the global environment and the national level economic environment. It's about having very simple plan and understanding how things work. And that could be, hey, this is how the borrowing works. This is how much is going to be my repayment. This is how what is my requirement as a family right now. This is a good suburb where I can afford it, which has got this kind of demographics. And this is my current savings. And if I do things diligently or over a period of time, if I'm disciplined, then I can eventually get into a market. And what are the government benefits that I can avail? So we that's just one aspect of it. And then comes the more complicated. Who's going to help me with the property contracts, the exchange? There are 100, 200 pages documents. Well, what are the five things you need to be aware of when you're buying a property? Or when you go to auction, what do you be aware of? Do you need a pre-approval? What is this and that? So we're just simplifying it to a point where a common person can be enough empowered to ask right questions and cannot be taken for a ride or taken advantage of. And if we can shorten the time frame of their journey, because I'm in New South Wales and it used to and it still shocks me that the average age of a first home buyer in New South Wales is 36. That's
Oh,
insane.
wow.
That's insane. And we start working at the age of 17, 18. So that's 18 years further down. And surely some people, for them it could be money that they don't have enough savings or they're not enough fortunate. But for a lot of other people, it's not monetary. It's lack of knowledge. It's lack of confidence, and it's a very large decision. Buying property is not something which is going out and buying another dress. Um, it's a very large financial decision. So you want to be confident about it, but who's providing you that confidence? And with all due respect, I often used to say the government should be doing this piece of job because they should be running seminars, they should be running tools where they can educate people about it. But someone has to do it. We can't always blame government. So we thought we should do that for at least for the clients who are using our app. We want them to be in control, right?
Yeah. And I guess explain how the app applies. So a broker comes to you and says, hey, I'm interested in Property Dollar. What would that process look like for them?
Fair enough. So I'll take the liberty of going a step backward, Katie, to explain this more. So Property Dollar is an app which, as of today, anyone can download from App Store and Play Store. We got close to 16,000 users on the app already in last year or so, right? Now, people can download the app, they can upload the information, and they can start playing, and they can start seeing what all is the app is useful for them. From a broker's perspective, when we build this app, and I'm going to take you back on a journey, when we built this app, we felt that the key stakeholders of the property market, including mortgage brokers, who play a very important role, I guess 70% of the lending is done through them. We thought if we can also help them in some shape and form where they can help their client and it helps their business in totality, then it'll be good. And that's where the concept of white labeling the app came out. So right now, what we have is an opportunity for a broker to offer this app at a click of a button, offer this app to their client, and the client can download the app. The app is for all good reason, looks like a broker's app, their colors, their logos, they're connected to their clients through the app. They can send them notifications and so forth. So that's how, in simple terms, how the journey works for a broker. He can offer an app, it's their app, not a Property Dollar app, and they feel, and the client gets a great experience out of it.
Nice. And I guess what we're ultimately explaining here is that Property Dollar as a standalone product is available for users who are already on their property journey.
Yep.
And they can download it and use it as a product. But if brokers are looking to add extra value to the client journey and support those who are not quite ready yet, they can invest in having a self-branded one, and they therefore own that life cycle journey through that process.
100%. You hit the nail on the head, Katie, there, because look, okay. Let me put it this way. Talking about because I've spoken to now hundreds of brokers in the last year. I didn't know that many brokers before. I've got lots of good broker friends now, which is great. But the broking industry is getting so competitive at the moment. So competitive. There's so many people entering the mortgage profession. The banks are trying everything to win the books back and say, hey, come direct to the bank. They're already fighting the brokers out there, right? With all these AI and tech tools out there and the data sitting out there, the clients are going, I already know which bank is going to work from my compare site or here and there, right? So as a broker, the way we were thinking was that the ecosystem is not just mortgage, it is property and mortgage. Because no
Mm,
one gets up, like I was saying earlier, no one gets up in the morning and say, "Hey, I need to borrow $1.5 million loan." That's exciting. No, everybody gets up and say, "I need to buy that property near the beach or near this or near mountains or whatever that is." So the excitement comes with property. Loan is just merely a conduit to make it happen. It's just a support element. Now, as a broker, and I think whatever little interactions I'm having with these broker groups, to stay relevant, we need to be able to add a lot more value going forward. And here you become almost a companion to your client or your lead, what you got through a property app. You are providing them something which is going to be of tangible benefit for them with their property journey. And they got it, they connected with you, and they're thankful to you, not just because you got them the best rate in the market, which every broker was going to claim, but you also empowered them with their property journey, right? So that's where this plays a very, very critical role. Um, and from our experience of rolling it out with few broker groups at the moment, brokers are very sharp. We didn't even see the use of the Property Dollar app at the outset in that format. Like I said earlier, up like sometimes people are aware there is a problem and you solve them, and sometimes you take a product and they go, "Oh, you know what? We can use it for this as well," right? Another use of it comes through. So we always thought that initially that Property Dollar is going to be a tool which will be post-settlement tool, because we realize that the brokers, or when they settle a loan, relationship is done, you've done a loan, and the next app, the first app your client is going to download is a bank or a lender's app. So
mm.
relationship is moved from you to the lender, and lender is going to do everything possible to build more relationship directly with the client, right? So we thought we will create a bit of a friction there, and we will provide broker with their app so the relationship stays with the broker. But then what happened was, some of the broker groups who were very clever, what they decided to do was, as part of the lead generation, as the new leads come through, and those leads that don't connect or convert straight off, and they need to spend next 3 months doing their pay slips or this, or they need to save more money or have genuine saving, they started to offer the Property Dollar app as part of the nurture to their leads. So they stay within their ecosystem over the next 3 6 months, and no one's tried to. It'd be quite a bit of friction or a hurdle for anyone to steal that relationship, because as a broker, you helping me now. Yes, you're going to do my loan in 3 months or 6 months time, but for the next 6 months, you're connected with me now, not just sending an email that the interest rates have dropped or gone up, but helping me with my property journey. And you can send me a notification, and you can stay in touch and front of mind, and they will do more. So that's the very, very, very unique use case that have came out of it.
Nice. It's almost like a habit tracker. Like you never, like those who are committed to their Fitbit watches, this is a property version of that.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I was going to show my hand there. I've forgotten my one today. Long day.
I'm not a
Some of
Fitbit
the
girl, but I do know I do love a little habit tracker.
yes.
I'm more like a journaly kind of habit tracker. Anyway,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
but ultimately that's what Property Dollar is doing. It's almost giving them like their own version of a journal or a tracker for their kind of growth projections as they are on this journey of property.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, essentially that's the whole idea, that you're not only able to impact them when they are looking to buy their first property, but as they go further down, the equity gets built, because you also, as a broker, we provide you a dashboard where you can track your clients and understand how your client book is moving. So the whole concept of back book, we kill it with a live book. So all your data is live. You get to see all those different permutation combinations. There are 13 different data points you track, whether their LVR is changing, where their rates are changing, their equity is growing, their portfolio is growing, all of that. And the better part is, if the client makes any amends or changes in the app, they flow through back. So you have as good a data as you need. And as your client is embarking on their next journey or buying another property because they built the equity, again, you are the key beneficiary of it. And plus, through the app, if the client decides to refer the app to someone else, then you certainly got another referral coming out of it. That's a very powerful feature of the app, because you've done good thing by your client. You really want to reap the benefits, and nothing better. And I always read that in the email. The best compliment you can give us is a client referral. it's not just a compliment because you are sitting in your client's hands. They're checking all their property journey through that. At a click of a button, they can refer this app to someone else, and you just generated another lead.
Yeah. And
So,
and it's kind of low cost, no
absolutely,
cost.
absolutely, absolutely.
Anything they're paying you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I would, at some point of time, I would want to show you the app, how it looks like, and so you can see for real, your audience can see for real that how, how it looks like, and it's a very simple interface, no complicated graphs and craziness out there where your client's lost out there. We build this with the proviso that someone we do get a lot of migrants, someone who's been in Australia for 3, 4 years, looking to buy their first property. It should be as simple for a person like that. Do we have people on the platform who got 24, 25 properties? They're very avid investors and they're using the platform. So it stress tests the both side of the spectrum from a simple buyer to a very astute investor.
Nice. Well, did you want to actually just go through that process so that people can have a gander at Property Doll?
So what I might do is, if Katie, you okay, I'll show them the dashboard, a very quick snapshot from where they can click a button and then they can launch the app invitation to their client.
Mm-hmm.
And as the client download the app, then I'll show you how the app looks like. Yeah?
Perfect.
Awesome. So here we have the example of Connect 360 dashboard in front of you, Katie. So what we have is a whole bunch of graphs that giving you a visual of your complete mortgage book. So you know essentially how many clients are with what lenders, your P&I interest only, loan interest rate, fixed rate, and stuff like that. What I want to highlight is, for example, you can see here, you got 9 clients here with $500,000 to $1 million equity. You can click on it, and this dashboard obviously helps you to take certain kind of actions, send them text messages, emails, and pre-templated stuff. By using the same dashboard, right, we can actually invite any of your clients to download the Property Dollar app. So that's the crux of it. So this dashboard becomes your launch pad. And from here, we can actually invite people to the Property Dollar app. The reason we do that is that once they download the Property Dollar app, the data from this dashboard moves into the Property Dollar app. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is that if you got a client who's got 3 loans with you, 3 properties, 3 loans, you don't want your client to download the app and then enter the data in it. What we want to do is we want to really impress them. And I'm going to stop the screen share here. So what we really want to do is, from the dashboard, when you invited a client to download the app, we want them to just click on download, they download the app, and the data from your dashboard pre-populates into the app, and they go, wow, I've got a $3 million, $4 million portfolio. These are my loan situation and stuff like that. So we want to give them an experience rather than going and input data back again. So that's the purpose of having the dashboard, and then you have the client-facing app. Now, what I'm going to do is very quickly show you the app side. So what we've done here is, Katie, just to play around, it's not a white label version, but we did some overlays to help you see how a white label app looks like, right? So in this case, I know you're not a mortgage broker, but Katie, if you were a broker and you had your clients, and imagine one of your client who's a high net worth client with few properties out there, you actually just click of a button, send them an invite to download your app. And when they go into App Store, Play Store, download the app, you can see here your logos, your colors, they are reflecting here. And if they click on a property, then because you were the one who's given the app, your profile will sit in here. Obviously, you're not John Smith, but you will have your details sit in here and they can contact you from this part as well. And then you can send them notifications here as well. Different kind of notifications can come in. So that's the connect that you have built. But really what the app does is that, all my properties are showing here, my portfolio, my equity shows up here, and I get to see my outstanding loans and market value. And this is a very simple overlay. And then if I go into individual property, I get to see I can do my income and expense from here by taking a picture of the bill, create tax reports, all of that happens here. You get your suburb level highlights, you get high level view of your depreciation, anything and everything about your properties here. Your suburb level data comes in here, your recent sales. As a property enthusiast, whatever information I need about my property, it sits there. My calculators around stamp duty, government benefits, portfolio goals. I want to add suburb watch list, all of that information, your reporting function. So we really summed all of that elements, different parts of your journey in the property industry into one app. So
Nice.
now the better part is that if I make any changes in here, for example, my interest rate has changed, but on your end, you don't know my interest rate has changed. So I can go, if I go as your client here and edit an interest rate, you have open banking abilities, but even if your clients don't take up on the open banking, because we know that the take up's not there, and if they want to change the interest rate otherwise as well without connecting, they can still change the interest rate here to say, okay, I'm changing it to 5.4 to 5.6 and go save. Guess what? The interest rate just changed within your dashboard as well. So you now got a bit more real-time view of your client as well. Okay. So that's where the Property Dollar app comes into play. And if you have a client who's going to look at buying another property at some point of time and play around with different tools, you can have some behavioral. Obviously, we are very much protected in terms of what information can flow back, but certain intent nudges can flow back into your dashboard to give you a sense that some of my clients might be interested in buying another property or selling a property as well, which is very, very powerful, essentially, because it's a much more proactive way rather than you getting to know that your client has already sold the property after your trail stops or your money stops coming in, right? You'd rather be in the driver's seat to help your client with and understanding they might be looking to buy anything else or upgrade or downgrade with their own property decision. So that's where it comes in. I would take the screen away, not bore you with the Property Dollar app. I keep seeing it every day, all the time. But yeah, essentially, this is the journey where Property Dollar plays a critical role now, you can see. And as the game goes in for first-time buyers who are nervous buyers, they always need hand-holding, you're really positively impacting them with their property decision while you're helping them with their financial, outcome.
Nice. And I guess because we are dealing with personal and private information, how does that work for data safety and security?
So it's a very, very, very important question, Katie, and hence I'll answer that in two parts. One is about what all we deploy to manage that safety of the data or the security of data and privacy of data, and it goes without saying that, and everybody possibly is got to have these. It's got the encryption, military grade encryption built into all the things that are been there. The head of product for our business is worked for multiple banks over the last 20 years as key architect. So the architecture of our technology is also pretty much designed in a fashion that it is following a lot more stringent and the best practices. Other part of the situation is that we have third party who does audit on us. Part of our ISO certification, we are ISO certified as well. So we do pen testing and all the other things that we need to do to ensure that is done. But it all comes down to basic practices as well. As much as we can have the technology side of it, it is not just, I wouldn't use the word intent. It is about how seriously you take this stuff. That's more important. And coming from banking background, and most of the people in the business are from tech side, we understand how big a role it can play. Hence, even when we are talking about AI, which is obviously everybody wants to be AI enabled and using the AI, we are very, very, very conscious of how we use AI within the business. So we do not send the data into the AI models and worlds, but rather utilize that, bring it into here and use it so the data doesn't leave us. So even I wouldn't possibly be able to answer all the technical questions if you ask me, but my head of product was like, we are, as much as we have our own machine learning tools, and we're using our own embedded layers within our system that are stringent enough to not just take the data and send it to AI. It's not something we are, which sometimes can be very risky as well. So we're very careful about it.
So you've got some AI governance in place
100%,
to prevent it.
100%. Yeah. Good thing is we only had the audit a week ago and we passed with flying colors, which was very good. It was a bit nervous at times, but good times that we got the audit done and we got the ISO certificate.
And they're kind of key aspects. I guess sometimes when AI is a very well used word, you just don't realize the data security risks that it can bring.
Yes.
And at this moment in time, I guess you're leaning more towards automations than it is actual AI. And sometimes people interchange those words and they're not the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I guess that's what you're saying is that when data starts at the broker side, it is got a clear framework of what information is collected and processed and then pushed through to the app, which is an automation.
Yes.
Using API
Yep.
integrations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then when the client is interacting and doing whatever they are doing on their own property journey, because there's some consent, I'm assuming, as an
Absolutely.
agreement.
There are
as
absolutely
signing an
consent.
agreement.
Follow. Yeah, you have to follow the strict parameters of consent from the client, and that's why we use the word white label as well. Part of your white label licensing, all those legal requirements, all those terms and conditions has to be satisfied, and the client has to consent it every now and then. Where there is a nudge coming in, they consent to have that information go back. But the way it is framed is that the legal is not becoming a hurdle, but it is about, hey, I'm getting this value. It's my broker. I'd rather have them. It's the same consent that you have with the doctor when you go out and say, I had these symptoms earlier up and I was coughing. Because if you're not giving them, they're not able to provide you with the right medication or the course of action. Similarly, your financial broker, if you're not sharing the right information with them, then they're not going to be able to find the best product or help you in a best fashion. So, but it is consent driven, 100%.
Perfect, because then this means that the data safety is both ways, and that at any time, if the client wishes to unconsent, they can also do that. Obviously, you'd hope you've nurtured them so much that it never happens.
Never happens. Yeah,
but
we would like
surely, if it does happen,
absolutely.
there's a way to handle that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to cover throughout this process and what Property Dollar is offering brokers?
Yeah, look, but we're very excited about it. I mean, I can give you a flavor of that. We are very new, and we're very new in the broker space and white label space, Katie. So I want to thank you for having us and hosted us on this on this chat. For us, before we decided to go down this path, one of the important things for us was that this works, because we do not, at the end of the day, it's a product which people pay for, and we don't want to sell something which doesn't have a real tangible benefit for them, either saving money or making money or saving them time, right? So we went to the wider market, and that's the reason the App Store and Play Store, we launched Property Dollar there to see how people take up. And in a short span of just over 18, 19 months, we got now just over $24 billion worth of properties which people have added to the platform. We have in excess of $10.5 billion worth of home loans added to the platform, right? And we have people coming back and using different parts of different tools, or whether they are calculators or they are, different elements in there, they're using it. So the proof is in the pudding, right? So once we knew that, hey, we have built something which people want or they like or they're using, then we were like, hey, how can we actually help this to the wider stakeholders of the industry? So we've gone backward. So we didn't go thinking about, hey, we're going to solve a problem for brokers. I don't want to lie and make people feel good about it. We went in and wanted to solve client problem. But a client problem, if we can provide a solution to a client, that solution exists for a real estate agent, that solution exists for a large developer who's building the property, that solution exists for a broker who's providing the finance. But at the end of the day, the core is how can we actually help the client with their property journey, right? And hence we came back and then said, this makes sense. Now the tool is ready. We really want to offer it to the brokers. And we did a lot of dipstick testing and a lot of focus groups on the way. And we were shocked and surprised that close to 46 to 47% of their existing book has some sort of opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So, the analogy was very simple. With banks wanting to own the relationship, the whole space becoming more crowded, the compare websites coming in, how do you add tangible benefit? You can add tangible benefit to acquiring new clients, but the existing clients are the key. If you can have the lifetime value of that client and their friends and their families, then you've done the job. It's much easier, much robust that way. So there are some good financial benefits out of it, whether that's FTE savings, because you got people overseas who are trying to do this, the retention tool, the Connect 360, automate all of that stuff. It has a definite impact on the revenue, and the referral side of it is insane, right? Or cross refer or cross sell products is insane. We have some brokers who have the They were like, "We're giving the Property Dollar app, but what about the insurances?" I said, "Be my friend. If you build a relationship with the client and you got the loans done, and now they got the property, and because there's an insurance element within the app as well, if you want to offer the product, that's up to you how you use it. We're just
Yeah.
providing you a good vanilla tool that can be used for many things." So that's how we find that we already, people who we have implemented the solution, they're already cash flow positive in terms of ROIs that they have delivered through this. So we're very, very excited about it, that we genuinely um, creating more business for people and helping them retain more clients than merely selling another software.
Nice. And for those of you who are watching this and have been following along with the conversation, it's probably really helpful if we make it a little bit more clearer that Connect 360 is its own product and service that helps with the back book of the broker. But as a client journey from beginning through to the end, Property Dollar is its own service.
Absolutely, absolutely. So look, we very thankful to you, Katie, for having us here, and obviously to people who are listening to your podcast here. We want to offer something of value. So as part of that, we obviously got Connect 360 to implement this. There's a one-off cost to set up and do all of that. That's just around over $1,000+. And for the first 10 people who reach out to us, thanks to you, we will waive that cost. So there will be zero setup cost for Connect 360 setup. So that's one. On the other end, we have a Property Dollar app, which is obviously a lot more sophisticated tool, requires a lot of work, and it's an expensive exercise. It normally is $6,000 to have one-time cost to have your own white label app for next 10, 20, 30 years. We will slash that cost by 50% to $3,000 for first 10 businesses that reach out to us for a white label app. So that's just a gesture from our end to say thank you to you guys. So yeah.
You are most welcome. Thank you, Vishal. If people wanted to reach out and have a chat or learn more about Property Dollar or Connect 360, where should they go and what should they do?
Okay, so two ways. One would be is pick up the phone and call our chief growth officer at 1-800-225-573. That's one. Else, property and dollar. So very simple. propertydollar.com.au. You can just go in there. There's a form at the contact us. Just submit your inquiry there, and we will get in touch with you within 24 hours.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. If you have any further questions for Vishal, please put them down below. Remember to like, share, and follow this conversation. And if I needed to, or we need to do another podcast, let us know. We're always up for it.
Thank you. Thanks, Katie, for having us.
You are welcome. Thank you. Bye.